Men think performance issues are just physical, but often they're psychological. Trauma teaches the body to associate closeness with danger. So when men are trying to connect with their partner, his body might say, whoa, this feels too vulnerable, too intimate, too exposed, and the body shuts down. Welcome to Mr. Health, Mind, Body, in the Bedroom, the podcast where we cut through the silence and get real about men's health. I'm Dr. Mike, certified sex therapist and men's mental health expert. Around here, we're not sugarcoating the tough stuff. From performance anxiety to porn use to stress, depression, and intimacy, this is the place for honest conversations, practical tools, and strategies that actually work. If you ever thought, why am I the only guy dealing with this? You're not. You're in the right place. Let's dive in. Welcome back to Mr. Health Podcast, Mind, Body, in the Bedroom. I'm your host, Dr. Mike, certified sex therapist, licensed mental health counselor, and the founder of Mr. Health. Today, we're talking about something a lot of men carry. I want you to buckle up because a lot of you haven't talked about this. Trauma. Not the big obvious kind, the accidents, the combat, the abuse. I'm talking about the quiet kind, the everyday emotional bruises that build up over time. Rejection, humiliation, betrayal, the weight of responsibility, the moments where your life hit hard and no one noticed. This one is for guys who have been going through something many years ago, maybe just last week, who keep telling themselves, it doesn't matter, I'm fine. But inside, they know it still does. Let's dive in. Here's the truth. Most men don't even call what they've been through trauma. The word trauma makes them feel uncomfortable. Ask a man about his childhood, he'll say, yeah, my dad was tough, but he did his best. Or, my ex cheated on me, but whatever, I moved on. Or, yeah, I saw some shit at work, but that's just life. Men minimize pain because we're taught that feeling it means weakness. We're told to shake it off, be a man. So we learn to bury it. And here's the thing about trauma. It doesn't go away because we don't talk about it. It lives in our body. It shows up as tension, anger, anxiety, erectile issues, control issues, and even how we parent or connect with our partners. And the crazy part, a lot of men come to therapy for something else. Stress, sex, relationships. But what's really underneath it is unresolved trauma. So why don't men talk about trauma? Because it feels unsafe. Not physically unsafe, emotionally unsafe. Think about it. Most men were never shown what it looks like to feel and stay grounded. When something bad happens, nobody modeled vulnerability. They modeled suppression. When you fell off your bike as a kid, stop crying. When you got your heart broken, move on. When you got bullied, hit back. So now as an adult sitting across from a therapist and being asked, talk about how it feels when you're stepping off a cliff. There's also fear of judgment, fear of being seen as weak or worse, broken. A lot of men think if I open this door, I'm going to lose control. If I start talking, I won't be able to stop. And if people knew what really happened to me, they would look differently. So here's the thing. When I talk to men about trauma, they're often afraid of opening Pandora's box because they don't know what's in there. They've suppressed it so deep that it becomes this fearful thing that if they start to dig in what is in that box, who the hell knows what they're going to uncover and how that's going to shape them, and are they going to be able to handle it? So it's a lot easier to let the box live, keep on shoving it down, and then ignoring it time and time again. And for some men, that trauma involves shame. That could be sexual trauma, infidelity, abuse, addiction. That kind of pain doesn't just hurt. It changes how you see yourself. And that's why men avoid it, because facing it means confronting parts of themselves that they tried to hide for years. Here's the part most men don't realize. Trauma doesn't always look like crying in a dark room. It can look like anger. It can look like being a workaholic. It can look like porn addiction or sexual avoidance. It can look like controlling behaviors or numbing out with alcohol or success. A man can look like he's had it all together. Good job, family, car, gym routine, but inside he's disconnected because trauma rewires how we experience safety. For men, the body never stops being on alert. Their nervous system is always in go mode. Fight, flight, freeze. They're restless, they're on edge, they can't sleep. And when they slow down, everything that they have been avoiding comes rushing back. That's why men keep moving faster, harder, longer, because stillness feels dangerous. Sound familiar? Keep on listening. So where does trauma show up the loudest? In the bedroom. Men think performance issues are just physical, but often they're psychological. Trauma teaches the body to associate closeness with danger. So when men are trying to connect with their partner, his body might say, whoa, this feels too vulnerable, too intimate, too exposed, and the body shuts down. Sometimes trauma shows up as performance anxiety, erectile dysfunction. Sometimes it's porn use that's gone from fun to compulsive. It's not about desire, it's about safety. And until men actually feel emotionally safe, his body won't let him fully relax, trust, and feel. That's why trauma work isn't just about memories. It's about the body. It's about learning to feel safe again in your own skin, in your relationships, and in your sexuality. Now, let's talk about why therapy itself can feel like another trauma for some men. A lot of guys go to therapy hoping for structure, a plan, a map, but trauma doesn't always start with that. It starts with feeling. And for a man who has built his life around not feeling, that can feel impossible. Most men need to start with safety, not stories. They need a therapist who understands that trust is earned, not expected. That they can't just jump in, tell me about your childhood, before the guy can even know if you can handle the truth. When a man has trauma, he's scanning for danger even in the therapy room. He's watching your tone, your body language, your words. He's asking himself silently, can I trust this person? Can I say that out loud and still be okay? That's why trauma work with men has to be trauma informed and male informed. It's a blend of strength and safety, structure, and compassion. Over the years, I've sat with hundreds of men who've told me things that they've never told anybody. I've heard stories of childhood neglect, emotional abuse, violence, sexual trauma, and one thing that they all have in common, they thought that they were the only one. They thought no one would understand. They thought what happened made them feel weak or unlovable. But here's the truth. What happened to you isn't who you are. It shaped you, sure. It taught you to survive, sure. But it doesn't have to define how you live now. And when men finally start talking about it, when they let themselves tell the story they've been carrying for years, something powerful happens. They can start to feel again. They start to breathe differently. Their relationships change. Their confidence changes. Even their bodies change. Because trauma disconnects you from others and from yourself. And healing is about reconnection. At Mr. Health Counseling, we do things a bit different. We know men carry trauma. We know most men don't want to sit in a sterile office and be told open up. So we built something better. A space that feels masculine, grounded, real. A team that understands how trauma shows up in sex, in anger, in silence, in success. We use mindfulness, body awareness, sex therapy, and practical strategies to help men feel safe enough to start talking. No judgment, no jargon, no pressure. Just a real conversation about what's been going on in your life and how to get you where you want to go. Because here's the truth. You can't move forward if you're still dragging the past behind you. But you can learn to face it differently. And you can also learn that feeling pain doesn't make you weak. It makes you human. If you've been holding something in, something that you've never said out loud, this might be a sign to stop carrying it alone. You don't have to unpack it all at once. You just have to start with one truth. I'm not okay and I want to be. That's where healing begins. If you want more information, check out mrhealth.com. We are building a space for men who are ready to stop pretending everything's fine, start living. Thanks for listening. I'm Dr. Mike, and this is the Mr. Health Podcast, Mind, Body, in the Bedroom. I'll see you next time. You've been listening to Mr. Health, Mind, Body, in the Bedroom. If today's episode hit home, make sure you subscribe so you never miss an honest conversation about men's health. Share this with a friend who needs it, because the chances are he's struggling in silence. And if you're ready to go deeper, head over to mrhealth.com for courses, tools, and resources to help you build confidence in your mind, your body, and your bedroom. I'm Dr. Mike, reminding you, you're not broken, you're not alone, you're just ready for the truth.